Hello ladies and gentlemen, once again this is Jeremy Smith. I'm going to make this video pretty quick. I haven't been feeling the best the past few days. I did want to go ahead and make this video now just because we're getting very close to the announcement of Nikon's new full frame camera system. Now, to answer the question right now, a lot of people said, Jeremy, well, do you regret switching over fully to Sony with Nikon's new system coming out? And the short answer for now is no. Of course, we don't really know what these new cameras are going to be, but I obviously knew about Nikon's mirrorless system coming before I switched over, and I made the determination that Sony's current offerings meet my needs. With that being said though, I'm still very excited to see these new cameras because I believe that it's good to have competition in this space. Now, one thing that Nikon has done very well so far, of course they've released all these teasers, you know, love them or hate them. They've certainly gotten everyone talking. But the thing about these things that I've noticed is that from the get-go, Nikon immediately started to play towards their strengths. And Nikon is known for making lenses. They're known for being an optics company. So that first video, although it was a bit of a blatant and cheap ripoff of the movie Interstellar, it still showed that Nikon's main asset is going to be the unique lens offerings they're going to give us with this system. And so the first video put all the emphasis on this new lens mount, which is apparently going to be the Z mount. It's very large in diameter. That will give us the ability to theoretically have much faster and unique lenses. They've been talking about perhaps having a 58 millimeter 0.95. Which is even faster than lenses like the 58 1.4 or even the 58 millimeter 1.2 of old. So this sounds very interesting to me as an enthusiast. The thing that I've been thinking about though, and this is something that I'm kind of eager to get everyone's feedback on, how do you guys feel about Nikon going this all enthusiast route with their system? This large mount, you know, is basically, they're basically saying, hey, you know, we're going to make these really high-end, specialty, enthusiast level lenses, and they haven't said anything about APS-C. Now, for me personally, as an enthusiast, I am very excited about this. I think this is going to be awesome. I think this is going to get, this is going to mean that we're going to all have, you know, very high-end equipment to use. This is going to mean that we're going to have companies like Sony wanting to innovate even further. This is going to mean a lot of good things. And there's nothing stopping me from being a Sony user that has some Nikon instead of being a Nikon user that had some Sony like I was before. So, but anyways, as an enthusiast, this is very good. However, my thoughts are that it could be a downside for Nikon not having an entry-level mirrorless system. Now, you guys may be wondering why I might even bring up such a crazy thing. And the reason is because, as an enthusiast, I am a mere minority in the marketplace. Most photographers these days are shooting with smartphones. I mean, let's just be real. You know, the entire interchangeable lens camera market as a whole is shrinking. You know, point and shoot sales have basically completely been obliterated by smartphones. And now it's getting to the point where the smartphones are starting to affect even entry-level DSLR sales too. So in my opinion, I think that the camera companies would be very wise. I think that Nikon would be very wise to go ahead and have some more development in that mid to entry-level space too. In teaching classes with people and just talking with all sorts of different people that are getting started in photography, I've noticed that there's been a bit of a trend lately where I see a lot less people with entry-level DSLRs like Rebels and D3000s and so on. Now those people have entry-level mirrorless cameras. There's a lot of people, in my last class I noticed there were lots of people with the Fuji X-T20. There were a lot of people with cameras like the Sony a6000. There were tons of people with the Canon M50. So I think that Nikon is kind of alienating that segment of the market by not having something that's non-enthusiast level. I think this could be a downside long term. Anyways, this is just my opinion. You guys will have to tell me what you think about this. The other thing that I think is fascinating about all this is the whole size and weight thing. You know, a lot of people don't really care for the smaller Sony bodies. Now, it's silly for me to talk about this because ergonomics is such a personal preference. For me, I do like the ability to have a small or a large body. You know, I can get myself, you know, a big old, you know, 70 to 200 to 8 lens, and I can put it on a camera with a battery grip, and it's just like using it on a DSLR as far as I'm concerned. But then I can take this grip off and I can put on a lens like, you know, a Zeiss Batis 25f2 or a, you know, 55-1.8 or something like that, and I can have myself almost point and shoot size, small and lightweight setup, all out of the same camera system. If I'm packing, I can also take my cameras and pack them in a much smaller bag. So that's kind of my 2 cents worth, but I'm definitely glad to see that Nikon's come out with something a little bit larger for a lot of people that want that. So that's interesting. The one thing though that I think I'm most eager to see on this new camera is how it's going to handle the whole adapter situation. Now, I am not a fan of adapting any lenses on a mirrorless camera because there's always a downside to using DSLR lenses. Most of that has to do with the focusing motor. The focusing motor in DSLR lenses is simply not designed for focusing on a mirrorless camera. And that's another video topic all to its own. I'm not going to get into that right now, but it will be interesting to see if Nikon brings about any new innovations for this. I'm kind of expecting an adapter that has a translucent mirror personally. I do think that Nikon will probably include this adapter with a lot of the cameras. I remember back when they had the D4, when that first came out, a lot of people, you know, were new to the whole XQD card thing, so Nikon included XQD cards and readers with the first few D4s sold. Hopefully they do something like this with this new camera system and the adapter. Anyways, lots and lots of things to think about. There's a lot of debate, and that's why I should have put my phone on silent. There's been lots and lots of debate about whether or not this new adapter will actually have any type of motor built in for autofocusing non-AFS and AFP lenses. And this is something that I personally think Nikon would be foolish not to include. I'm expecting this personally, but we'll see how that pans out. As far as everything else goes, we pretty much know everything else, I think, at this point. We know that there's going to be 2 cameras, one 24 megapixel, one 45 megapixel allegedly. We don't really know much about the focusing system. There's been a lot of speculation about Nikon not being able to deliver the D850s because they wanted to allocate some of these 45 megapixel sensors to this new mirrorless camera system. I don't know if I really buy that or not, because this new mirrorless camera system is going to have something that the D850 does not have, and that's on-chip phase detection. And I don't know, I'm not an engineer, but I would think that that would mean an entirely different image sensor, especially with them sort of also, a lot of people also suggesting that this camera is going to do even better than the 850 in terms of image quality. So anyways, that remains to be seen. On August the 30th, as long as everything pans out according to plan, I will have at least one of these new mirrorless cameras in my hands, and I will be able to do some initial testing with it, provided I ask Nikon really nicely. Maybe I'll just tell them that my mommy took away the lighter fluid and matches from me, so that way we can ensure I don't make another video like the last Nikon video I made. But anyways, all jokes aside, as long as everything goes according to plan, I will have the camera in hand, or cameras in hand, for some testing. Write me in the comments and let me know what you guys are curious about seeing. I'm definitely curious to see lots of things myself. And don't forget to follow me on social media. Unlike some photographers on YouTube, I actually am a photographer, and I do like to post my work and not just talk about the cameras, even though talking about the cameras is fun too. So be sure to follow me on Instagram at PhotogJTheGreat to see all my latest work. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hopefully in the next video when I talk about Nikon mirrorless, we'll be talking about it when I have the cameras in hand. Until next time, this is Jeremy Smith, signing off.